What's up, YouTube?
Blow
Hobo
up
Nichol
the outside
BBQ.
world.
Shut up, Scott. What's up, YouTube? Hobo Nichol BBQ back with you again. We're doing a special edition of the Hot Seat. We've got a co-host, which is in for the girl, Scott. We've got Johnny, Texas style cuisine. We've got Barlow barbecue, and we've got outdoor cooking with Al. Did I fuck that up?
Yep.
Anyways, we're going to talk all about cast iron today. That's what we're going to do.
Cool. How's everybody doing tonight?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
This is
We've
awesome.
already got 2 thumbs down. One of them's mine. I'm proud of that.
All right. I'll add to that.
Oh boy.
Oh, we did get 1 thumbs down already. Well, I'll balance out the force there. Give a thumbs up. Everybody give a thumbs up down there in the chat.
All right, so let's go ahead, Johnny.
No, I say for some reason I see I'm on YouTube and I can see us on there, but I don't have my like buttons and all that, and I don't have a chat option. Weird.
Texas internet? I don't know.
Might be. I may just get out and get back into it too. Go through the link again or something, but
all right,
that's it. Lights bright.
So let's start this way. How long has each one of you? I'll let Johnny start. How long you been cooking with cast iron?
That's it. Lights bright. Man, I tell you what, I've been cooking with it long enough that I cannot remember to tell you when I started. All my life, That's it.
Hang on real quick. Somebody's got doesn't have their volume on the.
And I cannot remember when I started. All my life.
Somebody's got their other window going. YouTube video.
And I cannot remember when I started.
Hey, everybody that's on here, make sure that you got the YouTube window muted. Hey, everybody that's on here, make sure that you. All right, that stopped.
There we go.
We made it. It was like we went through some kind of like crazy like dimensional warp or something.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
What?
Okay, now we got that under control.
Oh my goodness.
All right, Johnny, start over.
Okay. Well, what I was saying was, as a kid, cooking with Dad on the riverbank and my Uncle Jack, that was all cast iron. Being at Grandma's house, cast iron. Mama, she loved a cast iron skillet. So it's been something that I've been around all my life. I started using it early on, found stuff at flea markets, fixed them up. So, I mean, really, I couldn't tell you when I started. I got really seriously into collecting it 15 or more years ago, maybe 20. And at one time I had 250 pieces probably of cast iron.
Jeez.
I'm down to about 100 now. I think I've sold off a lot of it.
All right, Barlow, you're next.
Repeat the question, Chris. I was busy in the chat.
How long have you been cooking with cast iron?
Okay, cool. Not long. We just picked up first cast iron, I think like early fall. Picked up a couple Lodge. We have a 12-inch and a 10-inch cast iron with the little feet on them. And we also have a small, pretty small little antique griddle that we use quite a bit. And then one of our subscribers, Jay Dalem, what's up, man? If you're watching this, hello and thank you. He just sent us a cast iron wedge pan. So I'm kind of curious to learn from you guys, like if you have any ideas for like good recipes or some good ideas to use the wedge pan for.
All right,
and so, yeah, we're still learning. I'm here to learn tonight.
We'll swing back to that question. Eventually, I'd like to get this to where this just becomes a conversation, but I figure we got to give people watching some background information. What's up, Al? You're on.
Okay, brother. Jenny bought me my first Dutch oven probably 4, maybe 5 years ago. I used it a couple times the next summer, and then it just built up to where I think I've had my YouTube going 2 years now. So we've been nonstop cast iron cooking for 2 years, you know, every week doing videos. So that's kind of where we're at, and I love it. You know, before that time, I have cast iron skillets and stuff, and they've always just stayed in my camp bin. But now that I've got into this cast iron cooking, they just sit on my kitchen stove in the house, and I use them all the time. So it's pretty awesome. So cook a lot of good stuff in the cast iron. So yeah, a couple years full time, and before that, you know, just here and there. But yeah, I recommend it to anybody because it's easy, it's good, and everything turns out delicious in the cast iron. And one thing I've learned about it is it's very forgiving in the cast iron. You know, it's kind of hard to burn something unless you do something pretty bad. So, you know, that's what, you know, a lot of my videos are easy Dutch oven, chicken cordon bleu are easy, you know, just to let people know that it's easy, you know, just try it out. Once you get going, it's pretty good. So.
All right. So Kent Van de Weerd wants to know, what's everyone's go-to piece of cast? I'm not going to call names. You guys just fucking fight it out over airtime.
Well, I would say in Dutch oven speak, it would be my 12-inch shallow lodge. It's a camp oven, you know, the one with the feet. So if we're talking about that, if we're talking about skillets, I've got a cast iron skillet I love to use. It's a Victor, and it's at the youngest, 3 years old. Victor was a predecessor to Erie, and I use that. It's got a bottom in it like glass. You can see me making pancakes in it on one of my camping videos. But yeah, it's Victor was made from 1895 to 1905. So at the youngest it could be is 113 years old, and it is primo. Wow. That's my skillet. Yeah.
Al, Barlow, rock, paper, scissors, you're it.
This here, I think this for us, for me anyways, is this this is that antique griddle. It kind of has like the concave. Probably can't tell in the video, but it kind of concaves in there. This is a lot of fun to cook on, and it does a great job. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah.
Al,
what do you got?
I'm watching Barlow do his demonstration. So yeah, the go-to cast iron. I mean, I use a Dutch oven more than anything, but like I said, I've been getting used to Skittles. You know, not the Skittles. That's got like
Skittles.
Skillets.
I haven't used any Skittles yet.
But yeah. I mean, Dutch oven is my go-to cookware, but you know, you get cooking in it, you'll find your favorite. I mean, it's all good. You know, one thing I learned, I was cooking something on the stove just at home, and it needed to bake for a while. I'm like, well, I can just throw this right in the oven. So you just throw it right in the oven, let it do its thing, and then take it out and fry it a little bit more. So yeah, that worked pretty good. So it's real versatile just in your house. So that's one thing I did learn.
cool. All right, Johnny. Keith Batag wants to know, how the hell can I make good fried potatoes in my skillet? Tell me exactly what I need to do.
Well, I tell you what, if you're talking, you know, French fries are easy because you got a little depth to it, and you've got oil. If he's talking pan fried potatoes, the key of that is when you one, get your skillet hot. So if you don't want a good bottom in it, get it hot, then add oil, and then let the oil heat up, and that's going to give you a degree of not. And if you put oil in a cold pan, heat the pan, heat the oil. And when you put your potatoes in to make like a pan-fried tomato, don't move them. Let them sit there, let them cook, let them start to get crunchy. Then get your spatula in there and get them flipped over and get them to the other side. But don't jack with them too much, and heat them up in that way. And that's a pretty good way to do it. I do have that on a video, pan-fried potatoes in the cassette, so you can find that up on my playlist, my I got one playlist that's totally cast iron. It'll have skillets, Dutch ovens, everything in it.
Cool. Mike, Everyday Barbecue wants to know what's the best thing each of you guys has cooked on cast iron and why.
Good question. What's up, Mike? Love you, man.
Go ahead, Barb. Why don't you go first?
Oh no, give me a minute. I gotta think about this one for a minute, folks. What's the
Okay,
best?
Alex, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'll just go back to what sticks out in my mind when we first got doing this, these YouTube videos and stuff. Is we cooked a chicken cordon bleu, and so I kind of researched it a little bit in the Dutch oven. You know, this was probably maybe, I don't know, I'd have to look back, probably my 6th or 7th video. But I love it. I think about it all the time. It's in my cookbook, and a lot of people have made it and say, man, this is awesome, but it's like 5-star restaurant meal in a Dutch oven, and it's one of those deals where you just do a little bit, get a few things ready, and then it's just all in one and cook it, you know. So that's one of the meals that sticks out in my mind is the chicken cordon bleu.
Yeah, and I'll compliment on that. Al's got a good dish on that. I started watching Al. I bet you he didn't have a half dozen videos up, and I don't know, half a dozen subscribers maybe. When I first saw him, you know, putting this Dutch oven stuff up, you know, gosh, it was quite a while back. You know, he's been doing it 2 years, so it was quite a while ago. Give you how long, but he's got some good dishes up there. But what I would say is on mine is probably my Jack Daniel's peach cobbler, and it's always, and when I look at my top 10 videos, it's always in the top 10. It and my Dr. Pepper chicken are always up in those videos. My cast iron videos do very well, but that Jack Daniel's peach cobbler, I've entered it in 4 cook-offs. It came in second once, and it's won the other 3. So it's a heck of a recipe, and it's dadgum good in cast iron. The cast just does a lot for it, but that's a great dish.
I'm laughing at Cooking Green Bastards now. He's on some kind of delay, but Skittles, I love Skittles.
Yeah.
Cheers, big ears.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to narrow down a favorite meal in the Dutch oven. I mean, I have 120 or something videos on, and you know, it's just I look at all of them and everything, and it's just like, man, all of these have just turned out good, all the way to, you know, popping popcorn in the Dutch oven. I mean, that was delicious. So it's kind of hard to narrow down a favorite, but yeah, some of them stick out in my mind more than others. But yeah.
I saw Keith said something like home style, not much French fries. So if I didn't answer it the way you wanted it, Keith, get back with me and we'll get that one knocked out to help you out. Marlo, you thought long enough to come up with yours?
Yeah, I think I have, Johnny. I'm going to go with the poutine Dutch oven cook that we did. That was really good. It's been a while since we put that one out. Martha, what did we put in that?
What?
In the poutine video. We had the mashed potatoes. We did the French fries in there.
There wasn't mashed potatoes.
No, it wasn't mashed potatoes.
French fries.
We had French fries.
We had that gravy that we did with the.
Yeah. We ate the gravy. Anyways, it was cool. It tasted great. That was a lot of fun to put together.
Poutang.
I can't remember my own videos. Yeah, the Poutang video.
Scott, how you doing over there? How's your first time co-hosting the hot seat?
Hey, we're good. I'm just writing stuff down. Don't mind me.
Ask me,
Oh, man.
Scott.
You got anything you want to ask yet, Scott?
Yeah, I had a couple of things. Kind of touched on it before we went live there. Johnny, about going live. That'd be pretty cool to see you go live one day.
Yes, it
We're
would.
hoping that we're testing internet status. You know, if we can get the internet right, then we're gonna try to do it.
Awesome.
All right, so explain this to me like I'm 6 with crayons. I decide that I want to start using a Dutch oven, the one that you got the little fucking feet on it and shit. how do I know how much coals to put on the top and the bottom?
Who wants to take that? You want me to take that one?
Whoever.
Yeah.
All right. There's one thing is if you research, just Google it, and there's a lot of stuff out there on how many coals to use. But you can primarily say this: if you have a shallow oven, you got ovens that are basically 4-inch ovens and 6-inch ovens, a baker and a roaster. But what happens is if you're using coals, if you want to cook at 350 degrees, you double the size of your oven. So if you've got a 10-inch oven, you're going to go to 20 plus 2. Every 2 coals is basically 50 degrees. So 10-inch oven, you're going to have 22. And usually you'll see me take 2 off the bottom and add those 2 to the top. So if I've got 11, I wind up with 9 on the bottom and 13 on top. Depending on the dish, sometimes if it's like a cake or something delicate, I'll go 1/3 and 2/3. And really, there's nothing wrong with going 1/3, 2/3 as far as coal spreading out. So a lot of times I do my Dutch oven stuff, especially for people that are kind of beginners, with charcoal because you can count your heat. But use a quality charcoal. So if you don't buy a good charcoal like Kingsford, it's not putting off as much heat. And you got to remember too, if it's a long cook, your ashes will insulate. So if you put new coals on top of ash, you're not getting the heat down in there. So get you a whisk broom, and not a plastic one, but the old, straw whisk broom to clean those tops off so you're getting fresh coals right down on the steel. But count your coals, and it's double the size plus 2. If you get a roaster, I'll usually go an extra 2 above that to hit that 350 mark.
Anybody else have any input?
Yeah. So I always gauge my stuff off 350 degrees too. And then if you want to bump it up, I mean, what I always do, say you're cooking with a 12-inch Dutch oven at 350, so there's 10 on the bottom, 14 on top. You want to knock it up to 375, throw 2 more on the top. You want to knock it up to 400, throw a couple more on the top, and that's how you can kind of up it from the 350 mark. But like Johnny says, the 350 mark is a good, easy way to figure out how many you need. You just double the amount of briquettes, whatever size your Dutch oven is.
So like I'm just going to use like a Weber kettle, for example. You overshoot temperature for whatever reason. How quickly or slowly does a Dutch oven kind of suck back to where you want it to be?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. No. You got to take it. For us, we cook mostly. We've been using just mostly like wood, just campfire wood, and cooking our Dutch ovens over that way. So when we use charcoal, we kind of use it as a backup, and we're not counting anything. We're just kind of, depending on what we're cooking, depending on how fast or how it needs to be cooked, we just kind of throw on what we think is an appropriate amount of charcoal to just keep it going. But we primarily use wood. So the conversation that Johnny and Al are having are really interesting to me because I'm not used to really cooking with Dutch ovens, like using those kind of formulas or ratios with the charcoal. But like our experience is like, if you get that cast iron ramped up and really hot, like it's really hard for it to cool down. For us, we just have to literally just remove it off the fire and just set it aside for a little bit. Give it a few minutes, it'll cool down that way. And then, shift around the fire, put it back on, and then get our temps up, maybe a little, not quite as fast. But it's a lot of fun to cook that way.
Yeah, definitely get it off the fire.
Oh yeah, it's got to get off the fire to cool down.
Usually the top isn't going to hurt you real bad. It's the bottom that's going to kick your tail. So
yeah,
you're cooking with charcoal or you're cooking with coals. The thing is, if you are, and it's smell. You smell when it's cooking right after you've done it a while. And when you go, that's not right. You get it off the fire. You move it to the grass. So if you like mine, I have a rock. I set mine on. It helps radiate some of the heat up, so I don't have to use as much on the bottom. I'm cooking here at the house. but I'll take it off and sit it on the grass or the dirt, and that'll absorb a lot of heat out of it. So that will help get some heat out of it. But cast iron, it's kind of a misconception. A lot of people say, "Oh, cast iron's great because it heats evenly." It doesn't necessarily heat evenly, but it retains heat very well. And so you have to just learn that, bring it up slowly. Don't get crazy with it. And if you think it's too hot, get it off the fire. Don't come off the top. A little small shovel with some holes in it where you can get the ash off, and get those lid lifters and get it off the fire and get it back on.
We learned pretty quickly that you want more heat on the top than you do the bottom. As far as when it comes to longer term, you're cooking something for a little while, just keep the heat more so on the top. And because if you get too much going on the bottom, that's when you're going to start running into problems.
Yeah. Martha does it. I mean, the thing about Martha and Barlow is that, they got it and they go, "Hey, we're going to learn how to cook in this thing." And they just started cooking in it. You know what I'm saying? And they played with it. And there's been a couple of times I've sent them a message going, "Hey, you need to, try this a little bit different." But it's cool to watch them do it because they're evolving. And a lot of evolving is just trial and error that they've learned doing it. It's a cool thing to watch.
And we appreciate your words of wisdom, Chef Johnny. We really do.
Al, you got anything last to tie into that?
Yeah, well, like I was talking before, I was using a 12-inch Dutch oven you're starting at the degrees of 350, so you have 10 coals. But you don't really need to add any more to the bottom. If you want the temperature, you can just add more heat to the top and more heat to the top, and that'll heat your oven up where you're not. And so it's pretty easy. You don't really need to enter, or if you're using wood like Barlow, I mean, you can just common sense, throw a little heat under the bottom and put a little more on top and just keep an eye on it. I've briquettes sometimes the life is burned out, not my dishes are done, and I've actually had a fire go on campus, so I just throw some more coals off the fire.
That's the way it goes, man. But that's part of the excitement of cooking with cast iron, and especially if you're using a live fire, because a lot of the cook is also fire management and keeping a good fire going. And sometimes you get that too hot and you're going to ramp up really quick, and that's when you tone everything down and ease up the fire. And that's when Chef Johnny starts texting you and letting you know that you need to move that stump that's on fire away from the cast iron over there. And
it's
great.
Another thing I love to do, Jenny and I, is just hang the Dutch oven from like a tripod over an open fire, and then you just gotta kind of judge the distance and keep a constant heat under there where there's not flame, and just cook a nice soup or something like that, or chili, or or something like that. That's fun also. Just right over the fire.
Yeah, man. I'd love to get one of those tripods.
Johnny Nick style. Johnny Nick puts coals on top and he puts everything over the fire. And so I don't know if y'all know who Johnny Nix is, but he's got a RFD TV. He's got a cast iron cooking show on there, and I've watched Johnny for years. But he cooks everything over the live fire, puts coals up on top of his. And it's a different way to do it. It's I only really do that if I'm doing like beans or chili. Y'all see some different ones. I saw Ken ask something about beans a while ago, but yeah. That's just another way to do it. The other thing I think what they'll be brought in is you don't want your coals in the middle of your oven. Well, especially on the bottom. If you put coals in the middle, you're going to get a real big hot spot, and you're going to burn whatever you got in there. So what you do is you tuck your coals right around the outer edge, and then that heat's radiate to the middle, and it's going to come up the side. If you put it in the middle, I promise you're going to burn whatever's in the middle of that on the bottom, because you just get too much heat there around the outer edge.
I've also I don't know if it's just me, but that's another thing that we learned early on was when you're cooking on the bottom, keep it around the perimeter of the oven, Now ours have legs, so you can put stuff underneath, put charcoal underneath there. And I've often wondered too, it's like it's bad because it creates the hot spot, like you said, Johnny. But I also wonder if like it also kind of blocks airflow underneath the oven. Once you've got some charcoal going and kind of build up underneath.
Wind will affect you a lot. But if you look at mine, whether it's coals or charcoal, and I've got examples of both on there, they're just under the edge. So they're not way under, they're just barely under. And you're going to get wind through there, but you'll find out if you get a good strong fire, a good strong wind, you're going to have cool on the wind side and much hotter on the away from wind side, because that's stoking that flame. And so that's building it. People don't realize wind doesn't necessarily cool down your oven. It will heat up your oven because it's stoking that fire and getting those coals hotter. So you got to be careful with a strong wind. I've got to use some pieces of tin. I've got a friend, Mr. Ellis. And Mr. Ellis on his chuck wagon, what he does is if he can find an old galvanized buckets, those old, you'd call them those number 2 or number 3 buckets that are fairly good sized galvanized. They're not too tall, they're kind of wide. Especially if it's got a rusted bottom, you buy it pretty cheap. He'll take the bottom all the way out and cut that in half. And then he can sit that half a bucket down in front of it to block the wind, because that wind will ramp your fire up and get you hot underneath.
All right, let's talk grill grates. So I don't know if any of you guys have any cast iron grill grates, but
nope,
I guess,
unfortunately. Johnny,
you got any cast iron grill grates?
Not anymore. I've had some in the past, on different cookers, but and I keep telling myself I'm going to buy the grill grate brand for my Lion cooker out there to help with it some, but I just never have pulled the trigger on it. But again, it'll disperse the heat pretty good, and it'll hold the heat, and there ain't nothing wrong with cooking on a good cast iron grate. It'll hold the heat well. And I know there's a popular trend going around of why in the world are you I like that dark meat. You know what I'm saying? I like those hatch marks in a steak. When you cook them, and if I want a pan-seared steak, I'll throw it in a pan and cook it in a frying pan. But I like a steak with hatch marks on it, and it adds a flavor to it, dimension of flavor. And I think you lose something when you're not cooking that way.
So what kind of maintenance are we looking at? I get done cooking. What do I have to do with this? I've had a grill with a cast iron grate and didn't use it for X number of months, and opened the lid and went, "Oh, I'm fucked." So
yeah. Is somebody else want to jump in here on that one, or what do y'all want to do? Okay, I'll go.
The one time he's fucking bashful.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit here all the time, but with the cast iron grates in a grill, what's going to happen is if you go in there and you do it like your stainless steel grill, afterwards, sometimes you'll turn the heat up on it, bake it off, rub it down, and go. You don't worry about it. Well, that cast iron, it needs to be seasoned just like a frying pan or anything else is. So season it first, and we can go over seasoning here in a minute. But once you get through with it, clean it good, and put that light coating of oil on that grate so that it blocks that rust from building up on those cast iron grates.
All right, real quick before I forget, I've got a bag of Oak Ridge Barbecue Habanero Death Dust that we will be giving away today. I haven't figured out how yet. If any of you guys that are on the camera here have a great idea of how to give it away, let me know at some point in time. But it's got to be something to do with in the comments after the show, blah, blah, blah. We can do the random comment generator, but somebody come up with something funny, stupid, whatever that people have to comment to do. That would be
Give me a minute.
Give me a minute.
That would be a good co-host responsibility, Scott.
Scott.
All the pressure.
Uh,
All right, Barlow, you wanted to talk about something, and I forgot what it was.
Oh yeah, Johnny, and Al, both you guys. We just got that new wedge pan. So, have you guys ever used those before? Do you any good recipes or good ideas?
oh,
I'm looking
yeah.
forward to trying it out.
Do you have one, Al?
I don't have one, but I want to get one. Yeah. So I don't have any experience with the wedge pan, but what I can tell, I think it's a good cornbread thing.
Yeah,
We're gonna
that
try to
idea-
make some. We're gonna try to make some meatloaf in it on next week.
There you go. You could
Meatloaf wedges.
that'd be interesting. I haven't done that. I mean, it's always been a kind of a cornbread. And actually,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know that's not an original Lodge product. That was
Oh, it's not?
That was Birmingham Stove and Range. So Birmingham Stove and Range, at the end of their time, Lodge was building some stuff for them, and Lodge was producing things for them, and they went into bankruptcy, I guess. And part of paying off Lodge, what they owed them for what they had made them, was they gave them the copyright to that wedge pan. So if you look at them, like, does yours have a hole in the very center?
Let me go get it real quick. I'll be right back.
The one, I can't remember which one's which. One has, I think the Lodge has a hole in the center, and the Birmingham and Range doesn't. But that's how Lodge wound up with that wedge pan. Now, I'll let him get back to talk. We can talk about the recipes in it. But you know, the old, here you go. Is he back there? Nope, not yet. He's leaving. I get which screen I'm looking at. Both screens up. But
Got the hole, Johnny.
it's got the hole. Yeah, Lodge has the hole. Birmingham Stove and Range does not. So if you find one with a hole, I actually have one of each. I have a Birmingham and I have a Lodge. Yeah.
Okay.
What's the purpose of the hole, Johnny?
You know, all I can think of is maybe cooling, or maybe it's something Lodge thought was advantageous. I don't know. They're good for hanging, hang them on a nail right there. I don't know why the hole would make a lot of difference. It could affect teeth, but I'll tell you what, if you make, cornbread like your grandma did, and you go in there and you heat that pan up first, and you oil it and heat it, and you pour your cornbread in there and you get that good sizzle on it, then put it in the oven, you're going to bring that cornbread out, and each one of those wedges are going to have that nice crisp crust all the way across the bottom.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So it's going to go up the sides. So if you like a cornbread that's kind of crusty, man, heat that pan up first, oil in, and pour your cornbread on top of it, and you're going to get that crust up the sides all the way around in that cooker. So yeah, it's cool.
Well, I'm hoping it's going to do that with the meatloaf we're going to try in this. I'm hoping we're going to, a little meatloaf wedgies, and I'm hoping this is going to sear. Yeah, I'm hoping this is going to sear, put that nice crust on the outside of the meatloaf. We'll see.
Hey, Matt, can you put your finger back through the hole one more time?
Oh, of course. Yes. Anytime.
Could you, hey, Barlow,
Yo.
question for you. Could you use two of those and then flip them? You say you were going to do a meatloaf to get that crust on both sides?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
No.
No.
They wouldn't fit that.
What do you mean?
What
do you mean by flip them?
If you had two of those and go ahead, Johnny.
I was going to say, two of these on top of the other. That's what he's saying. He said stack them one on top of the other with the meat in the middle. But
this thing definitely is a lot heavier.
I knew what you were talking about. No,
I was just thinking about how getting the bark on both sides of the meat instead of just crisping on the bottom, kind of like a waffle machine.
Yeah. That's going to be
Right.
in the
Right, I got you.
So
I understand, Scott.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's going to get it on the bottom, but it'll get it on the sides too. But the top, maybe you could just put like, we could put this on top of it. That might work.
Flip that shit over on top of those bones here.
You got to realize, well,
there you
are
go.
you doing it on coals or are you going to do it in the oven?
Oh man, we're going to do this on the kettle grill.
Oh, okay, on the kettle grill? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But you got to, so you wouldn't have as good of a crust on top. You can get that baby hot and set it up there, and it would. Never had thought about it, but yeah, it'd probably work.
Scott, we could pop them out of the wedge pan, once they're done, and then sear the tops right over the slow and sear, man. Direct heat, boom. That would do the trick.
All right. I'm trying to see if I missed anything in the chat.
Chat's just moving right along tonight.
That's bouncing good.
I'm assuming this has to be about, well, it could be it could be everybody but me and Scott. Says that bearded old timer looks like.
Oh, Ken, I just saw Ken had a good idea for the wedge pan. Individual pizza slices. Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Ken. I like that.
Yeah, Ken says he's got 3 pieces of BSR. That's collectible. You got some BSR. That's good stuff. It's good
BSR?
quality
Who's
iron.
got that?
Kent Vanderweer just says he has 3 pieces of Birmingham stove and range. So, yeah, it's good stuff, not a doubt. Kent mentioned about my pinto beans. And what that was about was I had a lady go in there and insult the heck out of me the other day. She got on I had pinto beans cooking over the fire in the pots. 100 years old. It was my grandfather's Martin stove and range number 7. It's not a camp oven. It's taller and instead of wider and short, it's taller. It's more like a stock pot. But I was cooking beans in it over the fire, and her comment was to the effect of, well, I got on here to see if you know how to cook beans, and you don't even know how to use a Dutch oven. Go back to school. So. Anyways, I was like, well, ma'am, and I said something to her, and then she was like, well, you insulted me first. And so I copied that part, and I said, oh, ma'am, here was your opening statement to me. So I think you're being kind of rude, but so that was the beans. But I don't do beans and long cooks a lot in cast iron because it will bring your seasoning off the sides and off your pan some. So, long cooks, acidic cooks really aren't great things for cast iron.
So Booger wants to know chicken and dumplings, balls or strips?
Oh, strips, roll them out without a doubt, man. The pinch is not there. That's lazy people dumplings.
I said balls, and Booger gave me a point in the chat.
Ooh.
My grandmother made she would roll them out into strips and cut them. Kind of like pie dough, basically, a thick pie dough. And when all of us cousins get together, and my sisters and different ones, we all get together, and I cook pretty good chicken and dumplings. I mean, I really do. And they're like, man, these are good, but they're not as good as grandma's. So the pinnacle is, can you get chicken and dumplings as good as grandma's? And what I tell people a lot of times is are mine really as good as grandma's? Maybe, and probably even better. But they're not as good as the memory of grandmothers. And our food memories are powerful, and that's why, YouTube's blowing up, and that's why the network channel's on there. It's because, food's a cool deal, and it's generated cultures for years and years. But, the memory of grandmother's dumplings and chicken and dumplings, I will never match up to. Now, my mom she did the pinch. She would take the dough and pinch it off and drop it in. And that's the way mom did it, and we never thought they matched up to grandma's.
Scott, did you figure out what we're doing for the giveaway?
I'm still working on it.
All right, we'll check back in.
Maybe hey, Hobo, maybe we can touch bases on like care for your Dutch oven, or like Johnny, maybe we can touch bases on You know, you buy a lodge product, it's seasoned already, you cook with it for a few months, then your food starts sticking, so it's time to re-season that thing. And so, I mean, what's the process, or what do you do when you do this, Johnny and or Barlow?
Yeah, that's great. That's a great subject.
The seasoning end of it is if I get a new one, I season it. I'll clean it real good, you know, and that's one time that I do get soap out and scrub the heck out of it. Get it good and clean, and then I will put 2 or 3 more coats of seasoning on it really before I use it. I really don't like to just use one straight out of the box. A lot of the stuff I've gotten at flea markets, so you know you're cleaning those up anyways. I haven't bought that many brand new pieces. I did buy 2 pieces of Cabela's about a year ago, and really the reason I got those was because you can't hardly find a 16-inch oven anymore. And so if you want a 16-inch oven, Cabela's has got a good product. Somebody told me that Camp Chef makes theirs, and so I picked, and theirs is pre-seasoned also. And as a result of pre-seasoning a lot of this, it has a rougher texture on it, and that rougher texture is not as smooth as the old stuff. But if you find, you know, polished things that have been ground down and polished, you know, the price here for American made is usually pretty exorbitant. But in seasoning, I use Crisco. I use shortening. I never use cooking oil. It'll get gummy on you and get rancid. Some people say don't use Crisco either, but you know, Crisco's been getting used for hundreds of years. You know, I don't know how long Crisco's been around, but you know, if it wasn't that, it was lard. You know what I'm saying? So those early Dutch ovens, and if you go back and study Dutch ovens, the reason they're called Dutch ovens is the Dutch were selling them. East India Trading Company. They perfected a way to of their casting that was a good way to do it, and so they were coming out from the Dutch. That's why they're called Dutch ovens. And actually, the legs and the rim on top were they said Paul Revere, where those were additions he put, was the lip to hold the coals and the feet to hold them off the coals. So a little bit of that. But I warm mine. I dry it good on the fire. Get it warm. You always want to add your Crisco. Now, I know some people use flaxseed oil, and they say that's tremendous. But I've never used flaxseed oil. I guess if I find some sometime, I might use it, but I've never gone searching for it. But what I do is it's a thin coat. You put a thin coat all the way over the whole oven. I'll put it in a 500-degree oven. I turn my oven all the way up, turn it upside down where what excess oil is on it can drip off, and I'll let it cook for about 2 hours, and then usually I'll do it at night, and then I just turn the oven off, and in the morning it's cool enough to handle. But I'll do that 2, 3, 4 times. Kim asked about my oysters a while ago. We might talk about those a little bit, but that oyster pan, kids got me a sur la table, and what they did was it, you know, it was that classic kind of pure gray, unseasoned is, and it took about 5 times to really turn that black before I dropped those oysters in it the other day. I probably seasoned it 5 times.
Yeah, that's good. So when you're cooking in your cast iron, I just want to make this point clear to everybody. When your food starts sticking, it's time to season it. So just clean it again. You know, like you said, Crisco, that's what I've heard is the best to use. And make sure you use a light coat, because I actually thought it needed a little bit more than a light coat once, Johnny, and then I cooked it. And it looked like there was so much oil, it was like running in the cast iron after it cooled. I was just like, what? So that's what happened.
Yeah.
But, So that's, you just re-oil it, bake it, let it cool. I actually got a few pieces from a couple antique stores that had some rust. So I just kind of scrubbed the rust off a little bit with some steel wool. I'm not sure if that's the right process or the easiest way to get the rust off. And then I done 3 bakes with them. You know, I'd bake them for an hour, let them cool for an hour, bake them for another thing, and then they look brand new, and it's pretty cool. So.
Yeah, it works good. I tell you what, we should have done was got hold of Ken and tried to get Ken on here. I didn't even think about it. Or nothing else, have him in the chat with us tonight. He probably could have had some good things flowing there. And Al and I have both got, camp-made Dutch ovens that Ken and his company Campmate's producing, and they're really good people. And theirs comes out pre-seasoned also. I've got a 12-inch of theirs, and that was a gift for me Christmas a year ago. And so I did the same, and that's probably the only piece of new I've really gotten other than those two Cabela's. And it was pre-seasoned. It still has the rough finish like they do these days, but I seasoned that up about 3 times and put it to work, and it cooks good. And the only problem really with the new ovens is the labeling on them. When you get that labeling, like now, Lodge has their name on their ovens. If you look at some of my old ovens, they only have a 10 on them or a 12 on them or a 14 on them. That's it. There's no other labeling up there because it's hard to clean that. So when it says Campmate or it says Lodge or it says Cabela's, you got to get that scrub brush and work down in there to get all the ash up out of those little crevices and keep that clean. And sometimes that can be a difficulty. So if you find one that doesn't have that on there, it's an older. Lodge started putting their names on their stuff in the late 70s. So it's going to be prior. If it says made in USA and it says Lodge, you've got something from mid-60s and mid-70s production-wise. If it doesn't say made in USA in it and it doesn't say Lodge on it, then you're looking at something prior to the mid-60s going back in there. But I have some pretty old Lodges. But, you season them, but the lettering that's on them today makes it tougher to season them, tougher to use, tougher to keep them clean.
Yeah, and then cleaning. Going back on cleaning, you cook, and what I've always done is just clean it with water, and I just scrub it, with a rag, and it just cleans right out. So sometimes it takes a little bit more effort, but I always just clean it with water and a rag, and then put a thin coat of oil on it to store it, and then it's good to go for next time. So it's not that hard.
Nope. It just takes a couple extra minutes, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My first cooks, I like to do stuff like fried fish, French fries, onion rings, something that has a degree of oil in there where you don't have to worry about sticking. I know a lot of people, listen to Cowboy Kent Rollins. And I watch his channel, and I've had a chance to meet him. Real nice guy. But his first thing is, and it's funny, is he wants to fry bacon in it.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
And that's my deal because this is bacon tends to stick because it was cured with sugar. So that sugar gets to caramelizing. Now, is bacon grease good to have in there that first cook? Yeah, I won't argue with that. But the actual cooking bacon for me, you have a problem of it sticking. So my first cooks, I would rather have something in there that's not going to stick. That's why I tell people, hey, fry fish in it. Make some fried chicken. Make some French fries. Do something with a little degree of oil where you're kind of submerging it in the oil. And when that's hot, it's going to be pulling that oil in there. And I think that's a better first cook. It's going to help you in the long run. But, you can't argue with Ken. He's been doing it all his life, and he's pretty darn successful at it. But that's, I've always found that try to cook something that's not going to stick on you.
Right. So I see in the chat, Johnny, and Jenny actually asked me about this the other day. You see those chain scrubber things that looks like a dish rag made out of chains that you can scrub your. Have you ever used one? Do you think they're good? Do they work? Or
I think they would work to clean it, but I think you're going to mess up your seasoning, without a doubt. I use and they're a Lodge product, but if you go into Bass Pro or Academy, someplace like that, they sell a little package of not rubber, but plastic scrubbers. And you take that plastic scrubber, and some of them have different angles on them. They have a different roundness. Some have different size little teeth on it, but they're all plastic, and you can scrape something up off there. Usually what I want to do is get them on the stove or get them over the fire and get them hot with some water in them and try to bring that up with a wooden spoon, or I'll use those plastic scrubbers that are, Dutch oven cleaners. You can get them from different companies, but I know Lodge has them, and mine happen to be a Lodge brand. And then I have a scrub brush from Lodge. It's maybe, big around as a silver dollar, something like that. And it's a stiff bristled, and I will use that. But I know people use those chainmails, but to me, you're jacking up your seasoning. And I don't put metal in mine. You see people do it, and I won't say never, because you'll see some of my videos, I've grabbed a metal spoon, but even being careful, you have a tendency of messing with your seasoning. And I try not to put any more metal in mine than I have to.
Yeah, I've used a wooden spoon a lot. I do have some of those Lodge cleaners, but yeah, just work it. Sometimes I've cooked stuff, and you look at it after you're done, and your cast iron looks like it's a mess, and it's going to take forever to clean. But you just work it with a little water, and it'll come right out of there. So, yeah.
Actually, Kent was asking about using metal utensils. I don't know about Barlow. What about y'all? Do you try to stay away from it, or?
Yeah, we don't use metal in cast iron. Nope.
Yeah. I was trying to go back up through here. I see Sean Hemmings here. Hello, Sean. He's talking about my cast iron peach cobbler. The other day he came down and bought a whole cobbler from me.
Oh, wow, that sounds great.
His daughter is her second year in my class. She's a senior there, and she's out there at my school, and she's a senior this year and doing a good job in there.
Scott, what are you asking me on this text message thing?
I was thinking 3 guests, we could have 3 questions. So I've kind of written down, as each guest has talked about a certain thing, I've kind of written down a question and then an answer that goes to it.
All right.
Okay.
I have 2 questions so far. You guys want to hear them now, or do you still want me to work on Johnny's?
Work on Johnny's, and then that way it comes out one time at the end, and then whether you're watching it live or whatever, the problem is going to be the first person is going to answer, and everybody's going to copy paste whatever their answers are, right, wrong, or indifferent. So if you're smart, your first comment would be completely wrong, and then somewhere down would be completely right. But the random comment generator is going to have me pushing the fucking button 100 times.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different ways. There's really, and I don't want to say there's no right or wrong. There is right or wrong, but there's a lot of ways to do things right. And if you look at it, there's a lot similar between the way the 3 of us cook. And if you watch Big Bleu, I wish he could have got in here tonight. He'd have been a hoot. But, the way he does stuff, when you watch him and Ori, and Ori's working tonight, so he got held up at work and couldn't get in here. But, it's really very similar. And if you get on there and you watch somebody like Kent Collins, he's not a lot of different either. I mean, it's still the basic concept. Now, he uses a lot of trivets, where you were talking a while ago about, how much heat could you have underneath there because of the feet. He sets his on trivets, and he's got like 2-inch trivets, 4-inch trivets, and 6-inch trivets, so he can get them up off there. I don't usually use those, but I do have some. I got some I made out of horseshoes, and I've got some that that are bought ones. They're the ones that fold from Lodge, kind of like that.
Yeah, we got those.
If I got something cooking too hot, I'll put them on one of those and raise them up a little bit if I get a little bit too much coals underneath, and I think I'm going too hot. So, I mean, he does it pretty much on everything, but I usually just use them if I need to get them up. But if you're doing like he's doing a lot, and you're out in a pasture somewhere and it's kind of soft dirt, those little round feet will sink down in that dirt, and all of a sudden your pan is sitting right on top of your coals. So I totally understand why he he does it that way. But it's just another way to do it, another way not to get that bottom too hot.
Hey, Johnny, I know when I had Elle on here a couple weeks ago, we had talked about
Don't get the
stacking
bottom hot.
Dutch ovens. Don't what?
Don't get the bottom hot.
But anyways, we talked about stacking Dutch ovens, and maybe I'm not remembering right, but I swear to God, on Facebook, I seen you do that a while ago.
Yeah, we did our big annual cooking school. I do a whole section on cast iron cooking, and I'll bring up some cast iron that needs to be re-seasoned, and I have my students clean it up, season it, do all that. We study camp cooking, and then we kind of finish that lesson up with a day outside, and we cook totally with live fire. We do cowboy coffee. I have some old enamel boilers, and we do that. We had 15 Dutch ovens going from 10-inch to 16-inch. I had my can cooker on there going, and we fed, gosh, I don't know, maybe 100 people out of Dutch ovens that day. We did fresh yeast rolls. We did cornbread. We did peach cobbler. We did pineapple upside down cake. In fact, I took my pineapple upside down cake and I dumped it, and it came out perfect. It's probably one of the best pineapple upside down cakes I ever took. And I had one, and I just kind of lifted it, and when it was up at an angle, I told one of the kids, take a picture of that. That's really a good one. So I posted it up in a cast iron cook, and the lady told me, oh, I know a staged picture when I see it. So I had the video of it because another kid was videoing it. So I posted the video up for her, and I said, oh, ma'am, here's the whole video. That wasn't staged. That just came out of that oven. You know, and in the video, you could tell there was still, because I let it cool some, but you could tell there was some steam coming off of it. But yeah, we stacked them that day, I think, 3 high. But you just have to kind of watch your, you know, I stacked, sometimes, you know, you've got enough on the lid of one that you got to be careful of what you're putting on top of it. But if you're, you know, if you don't have anything in the center of that lid and it's all around, like you got a 14 and you put a 12 on it, there's no coals right under the bottom. They're all on the outside edge, up the outside, and it works pretty good. But I think I had a 16 with a 14 with a 10 stacked up, and I got some pictures up there between my Instagram and my Facebook and stuff where you can see those stacked ovens. And actually, the school kids are news production kids that do that. They came out and videoed that day. And they're putting together a video that's going to be 5 to 8 minutes of that whole cook day. And so hopefully we'll have some videos of those stacked ovens coming up and stacking. So yeah, it's a good deal. So it conserves wood, conserves charcoal, doing it that way.
Does your charcoal numbers change with temp when you start stacking?
Well, yeah, because you got to realize if you've got a 14 on the ground, you know, and you're cooking it at 350, that 14 is going to have 16, 17, 18, maybe 20 coals on top of it. And now you're sitting a 12 on top of it. But the difference is that those coals are further out. They're not up under the oven because they're on the outer rim of that 14. So when you put that 12 on it, they're sitting outside the bottom of that 12. So you're not getting as much heat over to the bottom. But yeah, it does affect the temperature. So it's just something that, you know, in that day, you know, we were using charcoal. We weren't using charcoal. We were using wood coal. And so you just have it, it's further out, so it heats a little bit differently. And all I can tell you is that's doing that a bunch of times in practice, you know, and on that deal, it's just regulating and figuring out how much is there.
All right, let's talk brands and country of origin.
Brands and country of origin. I have lodge stuff, I have camp chef stuff, and then I have camp made stuff that's made overseas. So
well, I guess what I'm asking is there pros and cons. I'm not trying to put anybody in a fucking corner here by any means, but
so you know, the lodge stuff, I mean, they're all pretty comparable, you know, and I don't have any gripes about any of them. They all perform good. You know, all 3 brands that I've used so far, I'd love to try some other brands. Yeah, I mean, cast iron, if it's good and you take care of it, it's going to cook good for you, and it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I own some of kind of the same way of different brands and stuff. Now, and I don't know if he's on here. If he's on here, he can jump on and start cussing me, James. I'm in a Facebook group, American Cast Iron, and so he's real big behind American steel and American iron and using those things. So I totally understand that, but Cabela's is made by a Camp Chef, and I don't own a Camp Chef, but I know they have a good reputation for being a good oven. And when you look at an oven, you want to make sure the lid one is not too loose. It doesn't flop around on there. And you want to make sure that it spins freely all the way around. Take the lid off and look down at your oven and check that outer rim. How consistent is it from being thicker to thinner? Is it kind of an even consistency all the way around? So some of the foreign ones, if you look at them, if they're a cheaper brand, that lid's real loosey-goosey, and you're going, man, is that going to hold steam or not? The top rim might be thicker on one side, thinner on the other. Those are signs of bad stuff. But I think if you stay with somebody like Cabela's, my 16-inch ones, I have no gripes at all about. And I don't own any Camp Chef at all. I've got my lodges, and I've got very, very old lodges, and I've got newer ones. The only gripes about the newer ones is the rough bottom. You can go in there, though, and work that out if you sand it and stuff. And then I've got my Campmade oven, and I like my Campmade oven. I think they did a good job making that oven. Some people will tell you, it's trash metal. The metal's not good in it. I don't know if it's going to stand up over time or not, but Camp Chef's been around a long time, and they've been selling a lot of ovens, and people talk about, well, there's things in there from other countries that'll poison you. Well, that's not the case. It's clean iron. You're not going to get anything out of it that's going to poison you. Our country regulates that and makes sure that we're not bringing anything in like that to cook in or cook out of. But some people said they use old motor blocks that they melt down, so the iron's not real good. I've heard that statement. But with Campmade, I know it's put together well. It's uniform. It has a good fitting lid. It has things that I like, and it cooks just as good as other ones I have. My Cabela's, those 16 inches. If I could find a couple of 16-inch lodges, I'd jump on them. But if you happen to find them, they're hundreds of dollars. Versus these are like 80-something bucks, and they were on sale 20% off. I drove up to Buda the other day and bought 2 of them. And so I don't have a problem using that stuff. I like American made, and I think we support American companies. But we got to realize, some of these they are American companies. You might be getting some product and bringing it in or having it made somewhere else. But that's living in the world today. But I don't have a problem using it. I do like, and I've got vast majority is lodge, and like I said, older lodge. I found a lot of lodge in flea markets, and like I said, I still got 100 pieces of steel out there, that I have, and they're all seasoned and could be cooked in fairly easy.
Yeah. The Campmade stuff's good, and it's overseas. And I talked with Ken, the owner, and stuff, and it's a great product. He actually goes overseas right to the source of the company that makes the Dutch oven for him, and he buys like a bulk of cast iron, I guess, and he buys so much cast iron, and then they make his Dutch ovens and stuff. But yeah, it's a great product. I love the Campmade. I look more in the Campmade than any other thing because they treat me good, and it's good stuff.
Yeah, they're good people. Working with him, working with Kelly, his daughter, they've been very nice to me. I have no gripes at all about any product I've got from them. And I was given one of their ovens. I never had seen camp made before. My roommate from college gave me their oven for Christmas a year ago. And then my in-laws gave me their multi-tool for, which is really a cool deal. If you've never seen it, it's pretty cool. They gave me the multi-tool for Christmas. And so about March, I did a video of the multi-tool and the Dutch oven and said, hey, I just got these for Christmas and I'm going to check them out. And somewhere Kelly or one saw it, and then they got hold of me, and we wound up with some other products. But no, good people. I don't have any gripes of any of the products I've got from them. I've used their charcoal, which is made out of coconut.
Coconut,
coal.
yeah.
And so it's totally, it can be used as fertilizer. You don't get the same kind of acidic ash you do out of charcoal. So it's a lot cleaner type deal. Now it's more expensive, but it cooks a little hotter, so you can back off on some of your charcoal and not use quite as much of it. But yeah, so I've used a lot of their stuff, and they're good people. I mean, I have no gripes about them or their oven, one oven at all.
Have you guys used the ovens that have the little hole in the side for you to put a thermometer in?
Cabela's has that.
Yeah, they do have that. What do you think about that?
I don't use it. I think maybe at the end of a cook it would work. I don't use it because you can't spin your lid. So if you're when you're cooking, and we haven't talked about the cooking process for people that might be interested. Every 15 minutes, you take that oven, and I put mine with usually with the name away from me, or the number, where I'm reading it. And then I turn it after 15 minutes, I give it a quarter of a turn, and I take the lid and go a quarter turn the other way. So that keeps your heat moving around in a circle opposite directions, so you don't get hot spots. Well, if you have a probe in there, kind of hard to spin that top lid.
Yeah.
So if I was finishing off, maybe I was roasting a chicken or something, and it was at the end maybe, and I wanted to know when to pull it, I guess that would come in handy, but to me it's kind of impractical because you can't keep that heat moving.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it doesn't get in the way of the lid or anything. I mean, as far as using it, the oven without it, it doesn't let any heat out, because if you look at it, it's not really a hole. You still have a lip. It seals up fine, and it cooks fine, but it's just not something I'd probably ever use.
All right, real quick, Scott's come up with an idea for the giveaway for the rub, and we're going to announce it now. Go, Scott.
What was the name of the first ever hot seat co-host?
And you have to be subscribed to him. I will check that shit. So when the show's over, put in the comment the name of the first co-host of the hot seat, and your name will be entered in the drawing.
I don't even know if I know the answer to that.
That's a tough one, man.
Yeah.
Hey, if somebody made it an hour and 10 minutes in, then I'll fucking send it to them. We got 18 people right now.
All right.
He's blowing the top off of this thing. I thought we were a lot more entertaining than that.
The number's actually growing now. When I started that statement, it was 17, went to 18. Now we're at 19.
All right.
All right. So next question.
Yeah, there's one thing I'm curious about. This is for everybody on the panel or in the chat. Is they have these square Dutch ovens. Has anybody tried a square Dutch oven? Is there any benefits and or some kind of meal that would benefit cooking in a square Dutch oven versus the round?
Maybe a lasagna or something? Lasagna?
Not a Dutch oven. I mean, I can't imagine why a square one would be advantageous other than storage, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, Jenny said lasagna too, but they have them. I seen them down at Sportsman's Warehouse. They have the square Dutch oven. So I don't know Or maybe if you're slow cooking like a roast or something, I don't know if that would benefit any more than just doing it in a round one. So it's just something that I haven't tried out.
Huh.
All right, so here's my question to you guys. I see Kent Rollins made a video I say not too long ago, fuck, it might have been 6 months ago, about, you go to an estate sale, whatever, and you find this rusted out fucking whatever. Is there a certain point where it's not worth the effort, or is everything salvageable?
No. It hitting. You gotta. I mean, provided there's no cracks. If there's no crack, then you gotta say, is it pitted? If the rust got bad enough that it pitted it, that's a problem.
Is there any amount of acceptable pitting, Johnny, or no?
I've got one that's got some in it, but if you're looking for that, and if it's an older piece, it's got a pretty thick bottom. Sometimes you can sand that out of it and save it. But I mean, the only thing that would really keep me from getting it would be if it was, if it had a pretty good pit in it. Now, if it was a good, if I knew, hey, this is a classic piece, I might buy it just to put on the wall or hang up, or something. But, I mean, I don't know, but pitting scares me, you know what I'm saying? And, but you can, to a degree, you can sand, not too bad at pitting out of it, but I mean, something's got to be pretty abused to have the pitting in it. And if it is, it's you should walk out of there, with it for $1. You know what I'm saying? But if I can usually find some down here that, for $5 and $10 that are maybe $20 that have no pitting and very little rust, so skillets are fun to buy because there's so many skillets out there that aren't labeled. People know when they see Lodge, but we know one that's a newer Lodge, or if it's something that says Griswold on it or something sees Wagner on it, then they grab it and they jack the price up, but they don't know pieces that weren't labeled. So you can take an older Lodge, and if you know what you're looking for, you can find you a wonderful Lodge skillet for $3, $4, $5 because it doesn't say Lodge on it. But if you know what you're looking for, that piece, because each one of those pieces have little telltale signs of what they are. If you take Griswold and their their Red Mountain brand, or you take, because what they would do is Griswold would be in Macy's, and then they would sell this off-brand to Montgomery Ward's. You know what I'm saying? And I can't remember all the old names. I don't collect it enough anymore to keep that fresh in my mind of all the different ones. But so, and then you have some where you can look at them, and at the end, Wagner and Griswold went together. And so, some of them, they might have a Wagner name on them, but you look at the handle and it's a Griswold handle. So those handles are telltale signs of what they are. And by watching that, sometimes you can pick up some quality stuff for some very good prices. And do a little cleaning, and you've got you a great, skillet.
So is the older stuff better than the new stuff, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's smoother. It was made, and it was smooth. The bottom, you look like in some of my videos where like I'm cooking my eggs in cast iron, and I'm cooking those pan fried potatoes. They can't losing my mind. Anyways, asked about a while ago. Fade tag. Those are nice, smooth bottoms. The new Lodges, because of the way the seasoning sticks better, the pre-seasoning, they leave a little kind of pebble finish on them. And so you're not going to be as smooth. So I know there are some people that they'll buy that new Lodge, and they'll take their Orville sander and they will sand those pebbles out, and they'll sand that metal down. But a Lodge has got a thick enough bottom on it that you can sand that down, get it smooth, clean it good, and go season it and use it. But those smooth bottoms are the nice non-stick and items like that. And so some of my older camp ovens, we'll call them camp ovens, because a Dutch oven is just a tight fitting lid. Don't have to have feet on it. A camp Dutch oven has the feet on it. Yeah, that older stuff was just smoother. Man, that Griswold, when you pick up Griswold, it's lighter. I mean, when you pick it up, you're going, wow, how is that so much? But you look at the edge, and the edges are thin and they're smooth, and yeah, it's primo stuff. I mean, you find stuff like that today. It's, you know, and there's some different companies in America that are making some really nice skillets, but they're $250, $300, $350 for a 10, 12-inch skillet that has that smooth bottom in it of new stuff.
All right. I'm going to try to get this wrapped up, but I see Kent has one last question in here. Johnny, what do you think? What do you think about Stargazer or Butter Pat cast iron? I don't even know what the fuck that means.
Those are brands. Actually, I think Kent did some reviews on those the other day. I have seen Stargazer before, and it's yeah. I mean, they're nice. They got a polished bottom on them. We were up in Fredericksburg the other day. You remember that brand we saw there, John, with those coil handles? I can't remember. They had some that were American made, and they had a coil handle over them that were, man, they were nice, but they had some square skillets there. But that place in Fredericksburg was just, you know, they're good stuff. They're polished. You know, a lot of them are these handmade skillets. Butter Pat's one of them. You can get Fields, you know, is one. There's some different American made. They're starting to make skillets again, and they're, you know, hey, they're primo stuff. They're polished bottoms, and they're good stuff. But you're gonna pay out the freaking wazoo for them. I mean, they are very expensive. You know, if you spend some time at some flea markets and junk shops, you can find you some good stuff for not much money. I mean, I bought a 12-inch deep lodge, which is a $60, $70 camp oven, and I bought it for $20 at the flea market. And it had never been used. It was still pretty pewter gray. You know, his thing was probably, you know, it's probably made in the 80s and had never been used. I picked it up for $20. We'll walk into a flea market one day.
Right.
You know,
right.
So I mean, those are good brands, but the quality stuff today like that, you pay a lot for them. Where you can go and you could buy a lodge for $20, $30. If you want that smooth bottom, take your orbital sander, smooth that bottom out with some, start a little bit coarser and then medium and then fine, and put that polish on the bottom and clean it. And, you know, for $30 and some elbow grease, you've got something just as good.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of what I think about it, but that's good stuff.
All right, we're about an hour and 20 minutes in, so let's end this on a high. We'll do like I typically do and give everybody the last word. We'll start with Al, then we'll go to Barlow, then we'll go to Johnny, and then we'll let our co-host wrap it up.
Okay, yeah, this has been great. One thing I've been thinking about is what to say to somebody. I mean, even in the chat here, or maybe Hobo, maybe you don't have a Dutch oven. What to cook first, or what's easy, or what should I start with? You know, my first recipe was peach cobbler. You know, it's just 3 ingredients. You know, I just peaches, a yellow cake mix, and a stick of butter. Or I done a cherry cobbler, cherries, devil's food cake, and a can of Dr. Pepper. Or, you know, what to cook, or how to start, or what to tell somebody. Well, I got a Dutch oven, what should I cook in it first? So I love, you know, directing people on where to go, and, you know, try this little 1-part dish or whatever, and get the kids involved, you know, and it's fun. It's good times. And you're in the outdoors. If you're cooking in the Dutch oven, you're in the outdoors. So that's got to be good.
Yeah. That's what it's all about.
Yes.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised, Al. I've got a lot more cast iron stuff than you would imagine. I just haven't busted it out yet.
Okay, so
let's see it, Chris. Come on.
Yeah, so you'll have a cast iron video coming up soon. Hobo Nichol.
Yeah, that's damn right.
I sent you a cookbook, so And I'm going to say this again. Anybody here in the chat, anybody here on the panel wants one of my cookbooks, message me your mailing info, and I'll send one right out. No problem.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
It's all easy.
Yeah, it's all easy Dutch oven stuff. You can message me through YouTube, or it's just outdoorcookingwithal@gmail.com too. So, yep.
Jenny, you want to come on before you lose your opportunity?
What's that?
I said, Johnny, I was talking to Elle's wife if she wants to come on for a moment.
Hi,
Every time I try to get her to come on.
I'm here. Hey guys,
Yeah,
it's fun
Jenny.
listening to you. Good night.
Stopping out doing shots, have you?
A little bit.
A little bit.
I haven't drank for like a month, and now I'm having fun.
Yeah. Good times.
All right, Matt, you're up.
All right. So what is it? Final thoughts?
Yeah. Like anything, you got however long you want to bloviate.
Oh, okay. Well, Brian, I'll keep it real quick. This was the last minute fill-in for Ori. Unfortunately, he got sick this evening, so he couldn't make it on. So I'm kind of like, I'm feeling like really, really big shoes this evening. And so Ori, if you're watching out there, I hope you're feeling better by the time you see this. It's a bummer you couldn't make it tonight, but thanks for inviting me to come on. And I don't know, we're still learning with cast iron. It's fun. Like Al was saying, you're outdoors, you're cooking, we really enjoy using the campfire to cook with our cast iron. And although we use that griddle on the Weber kettle quite a bit, I'd say like, don't be intimidated by it. You just buy something and start learning how to cook with it. That's all I gotta say.
Ori had to work. He wasn't sick, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's make up shit.
But I appreciate you coming on last month, like literally 5 minutes before show starts. It was me sending Barlow a message saying, "Hey, dude, you want to hop on here?"
All right. I was working on the video for Saturday, and I was like, well, okay, I'll pop on. So it's been a lot of fun. And Ori, I still hope you're feeling better. Work can be a pretty big bummer too. So I'm sorry I missed it tonight, man.
Johnny, you're up.
I tell you what, it's been fun tonight. It's always good to hear everything. And I've said this before, I started watching Al in the beginning, and so it's a lot of fun to see him, and he's right when he's talking about it. He said, hey, just find an easy recipe and do it. And he's got a lot of easy recipes out there. Watching Barlow and Martha jumping out there, and they're cooking and they're doing stuff, and I'm slapping my head going, oh my gosh, But I tell you what, they turned out good food, and they had a lot of fun doing it. You know what I'm saying? And so there was a lot of cool things to watch of them saying, hey, we're going to learn how to cook in this, and again, we're talking about being outside and doing it. When my kids were little, we built a fire ring out in our front yard, and it's still there. Y'all seen me cook on that fire ring, and we made all the everything to hold our Dutch ovens and cook in, and the kids, my Dutch oven, my Dr. Pepper chicken. My kids, Daddy, cook Dr. Pepper chicken, and I really kind of hadn't done it in a while. I'd been barbecuing so much in the last few years, and the kids got up and went to college, and then once we got the channel going, the kids were home and they were like, "Hey, Daddy, make Dutch oven Dr. Pepper chicken for us." So I had to go out to the barn and dig out my cast iron, and man, it was still black because I'd taken care of it. It wasn't rusted. It had been up there for years. We brought it out, washed it off, and cooked it that weekend with both the kids here. And so I mean, some people are scared of cast iron because they're worried about the seasoning and stuff. It's not tough. I'm sure you can get hold of any of us, and we'll be happy to help you with that. I saw Mike, Everyday Barbecue, said, do you really need cast iron? Do you really need a Blackstone griddle? I mean, probably no, but is it another tool in your belt to cook with? Sure. Medically, is it good for you? Yes. Iron is good for you. Doctors, my uncle was anemic and having a hard time. He told my aunt, hey, start frying his eggs in the morning in cast iron. And so she, dug out her old cast iron skillet and his iron levels went up. You know, here's an 80-year-old guy. He goes, that's better than any iron pill you can take. And so, you know, where your people are cooking in aluminum, I've really got away from aluminum. I can plug a friend of mine, but he's got a site, and he does. I'm trying to think of the name, but anyways, the evils of aluminum and all the problems it can cause health wise. But you know, aluminum's not naturally in your body, and a lot of research has shown that people with Alzheimer's have high levels of aluminum in their brains. And so we quit cooking in aluminum a long time ago. There's aluminum in our food. Baking powder, man. There's aluminum in baking powder. I buy Rumsford baking powder. It has no aluminum in it. You know, but Clabber Girl and Calumet both have aluminum in them. So we don't use that. But I've thrown all my aluminum away. We cook in cast iron, so I'm sure our iron levels are good. And you know, hey, it's fun to use. It's good to use. Mikey, hey man, it's good stuff. You know, it cooks up well. You want to get a nice sear on a steak. Cast iron's the way to do it. You can sear it on the stove. You can do it, you know, stick it in the oven and finish it off. So there's a lot of great things about cast iron. And the thing is, it's an heirloom that will be passed down from generation to generation. I have cast iron that's over 100 years old. I have some with gate marks in them. That's prior to 1895, and they are still usable. My Victor is minimum of 103, and one of my kids will wind up with that one day. I've got my grandparents, you know, Martin Stove and Range, that's close to 100 years old. My grandpa was born in the 1800s. So, you know, cast iron is an heirloom. If you want to buy some of the good stuff, that's a lot, just think of it this way. It's an investment, and someday they're going to go, hey, great grandpa or great grandma owned this, and I own it today. So it's cool stuff. I love it. I enjoy collecting it. My wife threatened me to ever bring home as much as I used to have, but I literally still have probably around 100 pieces of cast iron. Wow. That I have. So I've got a bunch, and at one time I've forgotten probably more than I know now as far as about the collecting part of it. But I love it. It's fun. This has been fun tonight. Barlow, I appreciate you dropping in for Ori. Wish Big Lou could have made it. It would have been fun. Al, yeah. I've enjoyed being here with you. It's fun to watch Al and you know, and watch Al, you know, his progress through Dutch oven cooking, you know, has been fun. Like I said, I found him, I don't know, it may be when Camp Made both found us both, you know, and that's how I first saw Al. But I remember he had a pretty small channel and not very many videos out, less than 10 when I first started watching Al. So it's been a long time, and it's fun, it's enjoyable, and by all means, get you some and start doing it. Cookouts, so the kids love it. And I missed it. It says something about I missed the joke. But anyways, I don't know. I'll have to get Mike to explain that to me in a little while. So do I really need cast iron? Oh, I get the joke. I just figured it out. Never mind. You really need cast iron, Oh, Mikey, man, he's throwing rocks out there, man. So yeah, just now sunk in. I was kind of thick-headed there. But anyways, it's great stuff. Chris, it's always great to be on here with you. And I hope there's some people that got a little entertainment out of this tonight.
I hope so too. Before I go to Scott, you're going to end the show. So you got about 30 seconds to figure out how to do that, because it's literally you ending the show. Matt, you want to promote what you got going on Saturday?
All right, Saturday we had we're dropping a video with David Parrish of Adrenaline Barbecue Company. He came to visit us yesterday, and we did a little video with him, and it's going to be pretty cool. It'll be out Saturday morning, 9 o'clock sharp. Y'all be there, be square.
All right, Scott, finish this out. This is going to be your new gig.
All right, guys. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I'd like to thank Al and Hobo and Johnny and Barlow. Thank you guys for coming out. I learned a lot myself about some cast iron tonight.
Yep.
So, and thanks, Hobo, for having me co-host. Thank you, everybody, for coming in the chat. And stay tuned for Saturday's special edition hot seat. We got Meathead, and next Thursday is Christie's Cooking Channel. See you guys then.
What?
Wait.
He's just
What?
making up shit, but I'll go with
Boom. Whoa.
Did she agree to that?
Well, we don't actually ask questions on the show for people. We just fucking force them into it now. That's what we're doing.
Hey, that sounds like 2 great weeks of the hot seat coming up.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Love you. Bye.